Maya Chen sat in the corner of the Grand Council chamber, her eyes fixed on her datapad. Around her, representatives from 40 different alien species argued loudly about trade routes and territorial disputes. Nobody noticed the small human girl with dark hair tied in a simple ponytail. Nobody ever did. The Celestial Harmony was the largest diplomatic vessel in the known galaxy. It traveled between star systems, carrying ambassadors and delegates who made important decisions. Maya was just an intern. She took notes, organized files, and brought coffee to the senior diplomats. The other species barely knew her name. Humans. She once heard a tall Vraxian ambassador say to his colleague, "They got lucky with their technology. Stumbled into space travel somehow. Nothing special about them." Maya had kept her head down and continued walking. She was used to it. Earth had joined the Galactic Council only 5 years ago. Most aliens saw humans as weak, emotional, and soft. They thought humans were too peaceful to survive in a dangerous galaxy. What they did not know was that Maya had secrets. Before becoming an intern, she had served 3 years in Earth's Marine Special Operations. She had trained in combat, survival, and tactical operations. She had learned to fight, to plan, and to win against impossible odds. But she never told anyone. Why would she? They had already decided what humans were. Nothing she said would change their minds. On this particular day, the council chamber erupted in chaos. Red emergency lights flashed across the displays. A distress signal came through the communication systems. Everyone stopped talking. Ambassador Torvash, a large reptilian creature who led the council, pressed a button. A holographic image appeared in the center of the room. It showed a small mining colony on the edge of explored space. "This is Colony 7, a desperate voice crackled through the speakers. "We are under attack. The Cravath Raiders have breached our defenses. They are taking hostages. Please send help. They are killing people, please." The transmission cut off. The chamber fell silent. Then everyone started talking at once. Maya's hands gripped her datapad tightly. Her heart raced. She knew about the Cravath Raiders. Everyone did. They were the most feared pirates in the galaxy. They attacked colonies, took slaves, and killed anyone who resisted. They showed no mercy. "We must send military ships immediately," said Ambassador Kelva, a being made of blue energy. "Those colonists need help now. It will take 3 days for the nearest military fleet to reach them," Ambassador Torvash replied, his voice cold and calculated. "We must follow proper procedures. We need approval from the Security Committee. 3 days?" Kelva's energy form flickered with anger. "Those people will be dead or enslaved by then." "Nevertheless, we have protocols," Torvash insisted. Maya could not stay quiet anymore. She stood up, her voice small in the huge chamber. "We could send a small team now. A reconnaissance mission. Just to assess the situation." Ambassadors turned to look at her. Most seemed surprised that she had spoken. Her supervisor, Ambassador Liu from Earth, shot her an angry look. Ms. Chen Torvash said slowly, "This is not a matter for interns. Please return to your duties." "But the colonists are not your concern," her supervisor interrupted sharply. "Maya, you are being overly emotional. This is exactly why humans need more experience before participating in serious discussions." Maya felt her face burn with embarrassment. She sat down quickly. Around her, the other species nodded in agreement. The young human girl was too emotional, too inexperienced. She did not understand how the galaxy worked. The council debated for 2 more hours. They formed committees. They discussed protocols and procedures. They talked about jurisdiction and responsibility. But they made no decision to help the colonists. Finally, the session ended. The ambassadors left the chamber, still talking among themselves. Maya remained in her seat, staring at her datapad. The distress signal kept replaying in her mind. She had heard something in that transmission that bothered her deeply. In the background, behind the desperate adult voice, she had heard children crying. Children, Maya closed her eyes. Memories flooded back. Memories of her training. Her sergeant's voice echoed in her head. A Marine does not wait for permission to do what is right. A Marine acts. She made her decision. Maya waited until the ship entered its night cycle. Most of the crew went to their quarters to sleep. She moved quietly through the corridors, wearing dark clothing instead of her diplomatic uniform. She reached the secondary hangar bay, a smaller area used for maintenance shuttles. The security guard at the entrance barely looked at her. Humans were not important. They were not threats. He waved her through when she showed her maintenance clearance badge. Inside the hangar, Maya found what she needed. A small reconnaissance shuttle equipped with basic sensors and communication equipment. It was not a military vessel, but it would get her to the colony. She logged the shuttle's departure as a routine maintenance check. Nobody would question it until morning. By then, she would be long gone. Maya strapped herself into the pilot's seat. Her hands moved across the controls with practiced efficiency. The shuttle's engines hummed to life. The hangar doors opened slowly. As the shuttle moved out into space, Maya took one last look at the celestial harmony. She knew what she was risking. Court-martial, prison, the end of her career. Earth might even disown her actions to protect their diplomatic relationships. None of that mattered. On Colony 7, people were dying. Children were crying. And nobody was coming to help them. But Maya was. The shuttle jumped to faster-than-light speed, streaking through the darkness toward the distant colony. Inside, Maya began planning. She inventoried her resources. One standard-issue stunner, a basic toolkit, emergency supplies, and her training. It would have to be enough. Maya Chen, the quiet girl everyone overlooked, was going to war. The shy girl everyone overlooked until the battle footage went viral. Part 2. The silent deployment. Shuttle dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Colony 7 system. Maya immediately cut all non-essential power. She could not risk the raiders detecting her approach. The small craft drifted forward on minimal thrusters, silent and dark against the stars. Through the viewport, Maya saw the colony. It sat on a small moon, a cluster of habitat domes connected by enclosed walkways. Normally, the colony would be lit up brightly. Now, only emergency lights flickered. Near the main dome, a large raider ship hung in space like a predator. Maya activated the shuttle's passive sensors. She scanned for life signs and heat signatures. The data made her stomach tighten. 12 raiders, all located in the central habitat dome. 200 colonist life signs clustered together in one area. The raiders were keeping the hostages in one place. Smart, Maya thought, but also predictable. She maneuvered the shuttle to the dark side of the moon, landing in a crater far from the colony. The raiders would not see her here. She powered down everything except life support and began to prepare. Maya changed into dark tactical clothing from her personal bag. She had brought it from Earth, unable to let go of her military past completely. She checked her stunner. It had enough charge for maybe 20 shots. Not nearly enough for 12 raiders. She opened the shuttle's toolkit. Inside, she found basic repair equipment, fuel cells, wire, and various components. To most people, it was just maintenance supplies. To Maya, it was an arsenal. She worked quickly, assembling what she needed. Small charges from fuel cell components, tripwires from maintenance cables, signal jammers from communication parts. Her training had taught her to use anything as a weapon. 6 hours later, Maya was ready. She sealed her shuttle and began the long walk to the colony. The moon had low gravity and thin atmosphere. She moved carefully across the rocky surface, staying in shadows. As she approached the colony, Maya dropped to her stomach and crawled the last 100 meters. She reached an emergency maintenance hatch on the outer wall. Using her toolkit, she carefully opened it. The hatch led into the ventilation system. Perfect. Maya squeezed into the narrow space. The vents were designed for maintenance robots, not people. She had to pull herself forward on her elbows, dragging her equipment bag behind her. It was slow, uncomfortable work, but it was also invisible. The raiders would never think to watch the vents. Inside the colony, Maya could hear everything. The vents carried sound throughout the facility. She heard raiders laughing and talking in their harsh language. She heard colonists crying quietly. She heard a child asking for his mother. Maya's jaw tightened. She kept moving. She emerged from the vents in a storage room far from the main dome. Carefully, she opened the access panel and dropped down. The room was dark and empty. She was inside. First objective, intelligence gathering. Maya spent the next 2 hours moving through the colony's maintenance areas. She stayed in the walls, in the ceiling spaces, in the service corridors. She watched and learned. She counted the raiders, studied their patrol patterns, identified their leader. The Cravath commander was obvious. He was larger than the others, with more scars across his armored skin. He carried a heavy plasma rifle and shouted orders constantly. The other raiders feared him. Good. Fear made people predictable. Maya noted everything. Which raiders stayed alert? Which ones got bored? When they changed shifts? Where they kept their weapons? How they communicated? By the time night cycle arrived at the colony, Maya had a complete picture of her enemy. 12 raiders. 7-foot-tall warriors with natural armor and military training. Armed with plasma weapons, battle-hardened and confident. Against her. One small human with a stunner and improvised equipment. The smart thing would be to wait for help. To hide until the Galactic Patrol arrived in 3 days. But Maya thought about the children she heard crying. 3 days was too long. She began her operation at dawn. First target, communications. The raiders had set up a communication relay to contact their ship. Maya found it in a side corridor, guarded by a single raider. She waited in the ceiling until he turned away. Then she dropped down silently behind him. The stunner made a soft buzz. The raider collapsed. Maya caught him before he hit the ground. She dragged him into a storage closet and sealed it. 1 down. She destroyed the communication relay with a careful charge. The explosion was small, contained, but it cut the raiders off from their ship completely. Second target, weapons cache. The raiders had stored extra weapons and ammunition in a secured room. Maya found it easily. She placed charges around the room's power supply. Then she waited. When the charges detonated, they did not destroy the weapons. Instead, they fused the door's locking mechanism and cut the power. The weapons were now trapped inside. Useless. The raiders heard the explosions. They started shouting. The commander ordered 2 of them to investigate. Maya watched from the vents as they ran past below her. She noted their positions. Third target, sentries. The raiders had posted guards at key intersections. Maya used the ventilation system to move above them. She had prepared small gas charges from the shuttle's cleaning supplies. Nothing deadly, just concentrated sleep agents from the medical bay. She dropped the charges down vents above the sentries. The gas spread quickly in the enclosed spaces. The raiders collapsed one by one. Maya descended, stunned them for good measure, and secured them in sealed rooms. By midday, the commander realized something was very wrong. 5 of his raiders had vanished. His communications were dead. His weapon supplies were locked away. He ordered the remaining 6 raiders to consolidate around the hostages. They formed a defensive circle in the main dome, weapons pointed outward. They waited for an attack. Maya watched from the vents above them. She could see the fear on the colonists' faces. She could see the raiders growing paranoid, pointing their weapons at shadows. Good, she thought. Fear works both ways. She activated her improvised signal jammer. The raiders' communication devices filled with static. They could not talk to each other anymore. Their formation began to break down as they shouted over the noise. Maya used the colony's control systems to create diversions. She triggered fire alarms in empty sections, opened and closed doors randomly, made lights flicker. The colony became a haunted house. The raiders were the victims. The commander screamed orders, but his raiders were panicking. 2 of them broke formation to investigate sounds. Maya was waiting. She stunned them both and dragged them into maintenance rooms. 4 raiders left, plus the commander. 5 total. The commander grabbed a colonist woman by her hair and pressed his plasma rifle to her head. He shouted at the ceiling, "Show yourself!" or I start killing hostages." Maya's hand tightened on her stunner. The time for stealth was ending. She opened a communication channel to the colony's public address system. When she spoke, her voice echoed through every speaker in the facility. "You came here for slaves and profit," Maya said in perfect Kravathi language. "You will leave with neither. Release the colonists, and I will let you live." The commander's eyes widened in shock. The voice was female, young, human. He started laughing. "A human?" He roared. "One weak human thinks she can threaten me." "Last chance," Maya replied calmly. The commander's laughter grew louder. He ordered his 4 remaining raiders to hunt through the colony. "Find this human girl and bring her to me. I want her alive. I am going to enjoy breaking her." The raiders spread out, moving through the corridors with weapons raised. Maya watched them go from her hidden position. Her face showed no expression. Let the hunt begin. Hash. The shy girl, everyone overlooked until the battle footage. Went viral ## Part 3, The Ghost in the Colony. For raiders moved through the colony corridors with weapons raised. They were confident. They were warriors. They had fought in dozens of battles across the galaxy. One small human girl would be easy prey. Maya watched them from above. She had positioned herself in the ceiling maintenance space, tracking their movements through the metal grating. The raiders were making a mistake. They were hunting like predators chasing prey, but Maya was not prey. She was the hunter. The raiders split into 2 pairs. Tactical standard procedure. Maya had expected this. She had prepared for it. The first pair entered the food processing area. It was a large room full of machinery and storage containers. Lots of places to hide. The raiders moved slowly, checking behind every container. Maya was not hiding. She was positioned above them, balanced on support beams in the darkness. She had spent an hour preparing this room. She waited for the perfect moment. One raider walked under her position. Maya dropped a maintenance cable she had rigged as a snare. It looped around his neck and pulled tight. The raider grabbed at his throat, making choking sounds. His partner spun around, raising his weapon. Maya dropped from the ceiling. She landed on the second raider's shoulders, using her momentum to drive him down. His helmet cracked against the floor. Before he could recover, she pressed her stunner against his neck and fired. The first raider was still struggling with the cable. Maya swung down from the beam and stunned him too. Both raiders collapsed. She used industrial binding straps to secure them, then dragged them into a freezer storage unit. They would be unconscious for hours, cold but alive. 2 down. 3 to go. The second pair of raiders heard the commotion. They rushed toward the food processing area. Maya was already gone. She moved through the vents like smoke, repositioning herself. She led them on a chase through the colony. Every time they thought they heard her, she was somewhere else. She used the colony's systems against them. Opened doors behind them. Triggered motion sensors in empty rooms. Created phantom sounds through the speakers. The raiders grew frustrated and angry. They fired their plasma weapons at shadows. The shots scorched walls but hit nothing. They were wasting ammunition and energy. Maya was conserving both. She lured them into the engineering section. Here, large machines hummed with power. Coolant pipes ran along the walls. The floor was metal grating over empty space below. It was perfect terrain for her plan. Maya had weakened several sections of the floor grating. She knew exactly where the weak spots were. The raiders did not. She showed herself briefly at the end of a corridor. Just a flash of movement. The raiders roared and charged after her. They ran across the weakened grating. It collapsed under their weight. Both raiders fell through, crashing into the maintenance level below. They were not seriously hurt, but they were trapped. Maya had sealed the access doors to that level. She looked down at them through the hole in the floor. "Stay there," she said quietly. Then she stunned them both from above. 4 raiders captured. She was halfway done. Back in the main dome, the commander was furious. He had lost contact with all 4 of his hunters. His communication devices only produced static. He could not call his ship. He was blind and alone. except he still had the colonist. The commander grabbed a young colonist man and dragged him to the center of the room. He pressed his plasma rifle against the man's head. The colonist screamed and cried. "Human!" The commander shouted at the ceiling. "I know you can hear me. Show yourself now, or I execute one hostage every 5 minutes." Maya was indeed listening. She had positioned herself in the vents above the main dome. She could see everything. The commander was desperate now. Desperate enemies were dangerous because they were. It's unpredictable. She needed to change tactics. Maya opened the public address system again. "You have lost," she said calmly. "Your raiders are captured. Your ship cannot help you. Your weapons are running low on power. Let the hostages go and you can leave alive." "Never." The commander screamed. He fired his plasma rifle into the air. The colonists screamed. "I am Kreveth. We do not surrender to weak humans." "Then you leave me no choice," Maya replied. She cut the connection. In the dome, the lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, painting everything in dim red. The commander spun around, trying to watch all directions at once. Maya dropped from the vent. She landed silently behind a storage container. The commander did not see her. She moved between shadows, getting closer. The commander kept his weapon pressed against the hostage's head. His eyes darted around the room. "Show yourself. Face me like a warrior." "I am not a warrior," Maya said from the darkness. "I am a Marine. There is a difference." The commander fired toward her voice. The plasma bolt hit empty air. Maya was already moving. She threw a small object across the room. It clattered against metal. The commander spun and fired again. More wasted shots. Maya circled behind him. She was close now. Very close. She could see the sweat on his reptilian skin. Could smell his fear, despite his aggressive posturing. "You think you know humans?" Maya said quietly. "You think we are weak because we do not start fights. You think we are soft? Because we try to talk instead of attack." The commander spun toward her voice again. But she was already behind him. "You are wrong," Maya continued. "We are not weak. We are patient. We do not fight because we want to. We fight because we have to. And when we fight, we win." The commander released the hostage and pushed him away. He turned in a full circle, weapon raised. "Then fight me. Stop hiding in shadows like a coward." Maya stepped into the dim emergency light. For the first time, the commander saw her clearly. She was small, young. Her dark hair was messy from crawling through vents. Her clothes were dirty. She held only a small stunner. The commander laughed. This is what has defeated my raiders." "A child?" "Yes," Maya said simply. The commander raised his plasma rifle. But Maya had been counting his shots. She had tracked every time he fired. Plasma rifles held 20 shots per power cell. The commander had fired 18 times. She dove sideways as he pulled the trigger. The 19th shot missed her by inches. She rolled behind a support pillar. The commander charged after her, roaring. He fired his last shot. It hit the pillar. Melting metal click. Empty. The commander threw down his useless rifle. He pulled a combat blade from his belt. It was as long as Maya's arm. "I will enjoy cutting you apart, human." Maya stood up from behind the pillar. She holstered her stunner. "You want a fair fight?" "Okay." The colonists watched in horror. The small human girl faced the massive raider commander. He was 3 times her size. His natural armor made him almost invulnerable. His blade could cut through metal. The commander charged. Maya stood still until the last moment. Then she moved. She stepped inside his swing, too close for the blade to reach her. She struck his elbow joint, the only unarmored point on his arm. The blade fell from his hand. Before he could react, she kicked his knee. He stumbled. Maya did not stop. She used his momentum against him, grabbed his arm, twisted. The massive commander flipped over and crashed onto his back. The impact drove the air from his lungs. Maya picked up his blade. She pressed it against his throat. "Yield," she said quietly. The commander stared up at her. For the first time, he saw clearly. This was not a weak human. This was a predator that had hunted him from the moment she arrived. "I yield," he whispered. Maya stunned him. Then she secured him with binding straps. She turned to the colonists. They stared at her in shock. "You are safe now," Maya said. "Is anyone hurt? Does anyone need medical attention?" A young colonist boy, maybe 8 years old, stepped forward. "You saved us," he said. His eyes were wide with wonder. Maya knelt down to his level. "Are you okay?" The boy nodded. Then he hugged her. Maya froze for a moment. Then she gently hugged him back. "Thank you," the boy whispered. Around the room, other colonists began to cry. But this time, they were tears of relief. One by one, they approached Maya. They thanked her. They touched her shoulder. They could not believe one small human had defeated 12 raiders. Maya felt uncomfortable with the attention. She had just done what needed to be done. Nothing special, but to the colonists, it was everything. Outside the colony, Galactic patrol ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They had received the distress signal 3 days ago. They expected to find a massacre. Instead, they found 12 raiders secured in various rooms, all unconscious but alive. They found 200 colonists safe and unharmed. And they found one small human girl sitting on a storage container. Exhausted, surrounded by grateful families, the patrol captain walked up to Maya. He was a tall, insectoid being with multiple eyes. He looked at her, then at the secured raiders, then back at her. "Who are you?" he asked. "Maya Chen," she replied quietly. "Diplomatic intern. Celestial harmony." The captain's mandibles clicked in confusion. "You did all this alone?" Maya nodded. The captain was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke into his communication device. "Command, you are not going to believe this. The shy girl, everyone overlooked until the battle footage went viral. ##. Part 4. The footage what Maya did not know was that someone had been watching everything. The colonist boy who had hugged her was named Tommy. When the raiders first attacked, Tommy had been in the colony's security office with his mother. She worked as a technician. As the raiders breached the doors, she had shoved Tommy into a maintenance closet and told him to hide. Tommy had been scared and alone. But he remembered something his mother taught him. In emergencies, activate the recording systems. So he had crawled through the maintenance spaces until he found an access panel. He activated every camera in the colony. The system had recorded everything. Every moment of Maya's infiltration. Every trap she set. Every raider she defeated. The cameras captured her moving through shadows like a ghost. They recorded her voice over the speakers. They showed her final confrontation with the commander, after the Galactic patrol arrived. Tommy found his mother among the rescued colonists. They held each other and cried. Then Tommy remembered the recordings. "Mom," he said, "I saved everything. I recorded it all." His mother looked at him with pride. "You did good, Tommy." "Very good." She accessed the security system. The footage was all there. Hours and hours of it. She looked at the small human girl who was talking quietly with the patrol captain. This girl had saved all of them. The galaxy needed to know about her. Tommy's mother uploaded the footage to the Galactic network. She titled it simply, "Human Saves Colony 7." Within an hour, the video had 1 million views. Within 3 hours, 10 million. By the end of the day, over 1 billion beings across the galaxy had watched it. The footage was incredible. It showed Maya infiltrating the colony like a phantom, using intelligence instead of brute force, turning the environment into a weapon, defeating enemies 3 times her size with precision and skill. But what captured everyone's attention most was the final confrontation. The tiny human girl standing calmly before the massive raider commander. Her refusal to back down. The way she moved when he attacked, turning his strength against him. The moment she pressed his own blade to his throat. And then, most powerful of all, the moment after. When she knelt down to hug a scared child, when her hard expression softened, when she made sure Everyone was safe before thinking about herself. The galaxy could not stop talking about it. On the celestial harmony, Ambassador Liu woke up to find his communication device flooded with messages. He checked the news feeds. His face went pale. Maya Chen, his intern, the quiet girl he had dismissed as overly emotional, was the most talked about being in the galaxy. He immediately called an emergency meeting. The other ambassadors gathered, all watching the footage on their displays. Nobody could believe it. "This is impossible," Ambassador Torvash said. "One human defeated 12 Cravath raiders. That cannot be real." "The Galactic Patrol confirmed it," Ambassador Kelva replied. "They found the raiders exactly as shown. All alive. All captured by her alone. How did a diplomatic intern have these skills?" Another ambassador asked. Ambassador Li checked Maya's file more carefully. He had only glanced at it before. His eyes widened as he read. She was a Marine. Earth's Special Operations. 3 years of active service before joining the diplomatic corps. The chamber fell silent. "Why did she not tell us?" Torvash asked. "Would you have listened?" Ambassador Liu replied quietly. "We barely listened when she tried to warn us about the colony." Back on Colony 7, Maya stood in the patrol ship's communication room. The captain had offered to take her back to the Celestial Harmony. She had agreed gratefully. She just wanted to return quietly and face whatever punishment awaited her. Then the captain showed her the view counts on the footage. Maya stared at the numbers. That cannot be right." "It is right," the captain said. His mandibles clicked, and what she had learned was amusement. "You are famous, Maya Chen. The whole galaxy is watching you." "But I just did what anyone should do," Maya protested. "That is the point," the captain replied. "Most beings would not have acted. They would have waited for orders, followed protocols. You saw people in danger, and you acted. That is rare. That is special." Maya shook her head. She did not feel special. She felt tired and worried about getting court-martialed. The patrol ship docked with the Celestial Harmony 12 hours later. Maya expected to be arrested immediately. Instead, she found hundreds of beings crowded in the docking bay. They started cheering when she emerged. Maya froze. She did not know what to do. A tall Vraxian ambassador, the same one who had once called humans lucky and unremarkable, stepped forward. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, I welcome you home. What you did was extraordinary." "I disobeyed orders," Maya said quietly. "I took a shuttle without permission. I should be punished." "You saved 200 lives," the Vraxian replied. "You defeated an enemy that has terrorized colonies for years. You did it without killing anyone. That is not something to punish. That is something to celebrate." The crowd cheered again. Maya felt overwhelmed. This was too much attention. Too many eyes on her. She preferred to work in the background. Unnoticed, but the galaxy had noticed her now. Over the next week, messages poured in from across civilized space. The colonists of Colony 7 sent a formal petition demanding Maya receive the Council's highest civilian honor. Other colonies that had suffered under the Cravath raiders sent messages of gratitude. Military academies from a dozen species requested information about human tactical training. The most surprising message came from the Cravath government itself. Their high commander sent a formal communication to Earth. "We acknowledge the skill and honor of the warrior Maya Chen. She defeated our raiders without unnecessary killing. She showed mercy when she could have shown vengeance. We request to study human military training methods. We also request that our warriors never be sent against humans again. They are more dangerous than we believed." In the council chamber, debates erupted about what the footage meant for humanity's place in the galaxy. Some species argued that humans were too dangerous, too violent. They pointed to Maya's military training as proof that Earth was hiding its true nature. Other species disagreed. They pointed out that Maya had not killed anyone. She had used minimal force. She had shown mercy. She had chosen the hardest path, capturing instead of killing. "This is not violence," Ambassador Kelva argued. "This is discipline. This is skill. This is someone who knows how to fight, but chooses when and how." That is not something to fear. That is something to respect. Maya watched the debates from her quarters. She had been given a private room now, not the shared intern space. She had been promoted from intern to tactical advisor, but none of it felt real. She thought about her confrontation with the Raider commander, the moment when she had his blade at his throat. She could have killed him. It would have been justified. He had threatened innocent people, but she had not, because that was not who she was. That was not who humans were. Humans fought when they had to, but they did not fight because they wanted to. They protected because it was right, not because it was easy. A message appeared on her display. It was from Earth's Defense Corps' headquarters. Maya opened it nervously. "Sergeant Chen," the message began. "We have watched the footage like everyone else. We are proud of you. You represented Earth with honor. You showed the galaxy what a Marine can do. However, we understand you left military service for a reason. We will not pressure you to return, but know this: you will always be one of us. Semper Fi." Maya felt tears in her eyes. She had left the Marines because she wanted to make peace, not war. She wanted to build bridges, not fight battles. But her training had been there when she needed it. Her skills had saved lives. Maybe she could do both. Maybe being a peacemaker sometimes meant being ready to fight. Another message arrived. This one from Tommy, the colonist boy. It was a simple drawing he had made. It showed a small figure in dark clothes standing protectively in front of a group of children. Above it, in a child's handwriting, "Thank you for saving us." "You are my hero," Maya smiled through her tears. That was what mattered. Not the fame. Not the debates. The fact that Tommy and 200 others were alive and safe. Everything else was just noise. Hash. The shy girl everyone overlooked until the battle footage went viral. Hash hash. Part 5. The girl everyone now sees 3 weeks after Colony 7. The Galactic Council called a special session. Maya stood in the center of the Grand Chamber, the same place where she used to sit unnoticed in the corner. Now, every eye was on her. The chamber was packed. Representatives from hundreds of worlds attended. Media drones floated around, broadcasting to billions of viewers across the galaxy. Maya wore her diplomatic uniform, uncomfortable with all the attention. Ambassador Torvash spoke first. "Maya Chen, you are here because your actions have created significant debate within the Council. Some members believe you acted recklessly. Others believe you are a hero. We must address this matter formally." Maya stood straight. "I understand, Ambassador." A Zelvan representative, a large being covered in blue crystals, stood up. "Miss Chen, you violated diplomatic protocols. You took a shuttle without authorization. You engaged in military action without Council approval. These are serious violations." "Yes, sir," Maya replied quietly. However, the Zelvan continued, "You also saved 200 lives. You defeated an enemy that has terrorized colonies for years. You did this without killing anyone. The Council is conflicted." Ambassador Leo, Maya's supervisor, stood up. Maya braced herself. She expected him to condemn her actions to protect Earth's diplomatic position. Instead, he surprised her. "I must confess something to this Council," Liu said. "When Maya Chen tried to warn us about Colony 7, I dismissed her. I called her overly emotional. I told her she was too inexperienced to understand. I was wrong." He turned to look at Maya. "I am sorry. You saw what needed to be done while we debated procedures. You acted while we talked. You proved that experience is not measured in years, but in character." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Other ambassadors nodded. Ambassador Kelva stood next. "I have reviewed the complete footage dozens of times. What strikes me most is not Maya's combat skills. It is her restraint. She had opportunities to kill. She chose not to. She had reasons to use excessive force. She used minimal force instead. This is not the action of a violent being. This is the action of a disciplined protector." The debate continued for hours. Some species expressed concern about human military capabilities. Others argued that humans should be valued as allies, not feared as threats. Finally, Ambassador Torvash called for order. We have heard many perspectives. Now, Miss Chen, we would like to hear from you. Why did you act as you did? Maya took a breath. I heard children crying in the distress call. I knew the council would take days to decide on action. I knew those children did not have days. So I acted, not as a human, not as a Marine, just as someone who could not ignore people in need. But you risked war, a ambassador argued. If you had failed, Earth could have been blamed. I know, Maya replied. I was willing to accept responsibility for my actions. I still am. If the council decides I should be punished, I accept that. But I will not apologize for saving lives. The chamber fell silent. Then, slowly, Ambassador Torvash began to click his claws together. It was the Vexian sign of respect. Other ambassadors joined in with their own species' gestures of approval. Maya Chen, Torvash said formally, the council has made a decision. You will not be punished. Instead, we offer you a new position. Tactical Security Advisor to the Council. Your role will be to assess crisis situations and recommend actions when time is critical. Maya blinked in surprise. I do not know what to say. I say yes, Ambassador, Kelva said with a smile in her energy voice. We need people like you. People who act with both strength and compassion. I accept, Maya said. Thank you, Chamber erupted in approval. But Maya barely heard it. She was thinking about what this meant. She would have real authority now. She could prevent situations like Colony 7 from happening. She could make a difference. After the session ended, Maya returned to her quarters. She found a message waiting from the colonists of Colony 7. They had voted unanimously to name their main Habitat Dome Chen Hall in her honor. Tommy had sent another drawing, one showing Maya surrounded by happy colonists. There was also a message from the Cravath commander she had defeated. It was brief. You fought with honor. You won with mercy. I have learned from you. Perhaps my people can learn also. Maya smiled. Maybe there was hope for peace after all. Over the following months, Maya settled into her new role. She still felt uncomfortable being famous, but she learned to use her reputation for good. When she spoke in council sessions, people listened. When she made recommendations, they were taken seriously. The biggest change came from other species. Humans were no longer dismissed as weak or unremarkable. Military academies across the galaxy sent requests to Earth's training programs. Young beings from dozens of species watched the Colony 7 footage and were inspired, but Maya also received concerning messages. Some young beings said they wanted to become warriors like her. This bothered her. She made a public statement, broadcast across the galactic network. I am not a warrior seeking glory. I am someone who trained to protect others. Fighting is not something to glorify. It is something to avoid when possible and use only when necessary. Real strength is not in how well you fight. Real strength is in how well you prevent fights. Real courage is not in defeating enemies. Real courage is in protecting the innocent. The message went viral, just like the footage. Teachers across the galaxy used her words in their lessons. Parents played it for their children. 6 months after Colony 7, Maya was working late in her office when an emergency alert came through. A diplomatic vessel had been hijacked by pirates. Hostages were being held. The council was debating how to respond. Maya did not wait for them to finish debating. She immediately began analyzing the situation. She identified the pirate ship's weaknesses. She developed 3 different rescue plans. Then she walked into the council chamber. I have solutions, she announced. Ambassador Torvash looked up in surprise. The other ambassadors stopped talking. Maya presented her plans clearly and efficiently. She explained the risks and benefits of each approach. She recommended the one most likely to save lives. This time, the council did not debate for hours. They did not form committees. They listened to Maya's recommendation and approved it immediately. The rescue operation succeeded. All hostages were saved. 0 casualties. Afterward, Ambassador Liu approached Maya. You have changed this council, he said. Before you, we were slow and cautious. We let procedure override action. Now, we still follow protocols, but we remember that real lives are at stake. You taught us that. Maya shook her head. I just did what needed to be done. Exactly, Lou replied. That is your gift. You see what needs to be done, and you do it. No hesitation. No overthinking. Just action guided by strong principles. That night, Maya sat in her quarters, looking out at the stars. She thought about how much had changed. She used to be invisible, overlooked, dismissed. Now she was famous, respected, listened to. But had she really changed? Or had the galaxy simply learned to see what was always there? Maya decided it was both. She had found her voice. She had learned to stand up and speak when something was wrong. But she was still the same person who cared about protecting others. Still the same person who preferred peace, but was ready for conflict when needed. She received one final message that day. It was from Earth's government. They were proud of her. They asked if she wanted to come home for a visit. Maya smiled. Yes, she would like that. She had been in space for a long time. It would be good to see Earth again. To walk on soil instead of metal floors. To see a sky that was not a viewport, but she would return to the celestial harmony. This was her home now. This was where she could do the most good. A soft chime indicated someone at her door. Maya opened it to find Tommy and his mother. They were visiting the celestial harmony as guests of honor from Colony 7. Tommy ran to Maya and hugged her. I wanted to see you again, he said. To say thank you properly, Maya knelt down. You do not need to thank me, Tommy. You were very brave. You activated the recording systems. You helped save everyone by doing that. Tommy beamed with pride. His mother stepped forward. Because of you, my son is alive. Because of you, we all are. You will always have a home on Colony 7 if you want it. Thank you, Maya said softly. That means more than you know. After they left, Maya sat down at her desk. She had reports to review, crisis situations to analyze, recommendations to prepare. The work never stopped, but she did not mind. This was what she was meant to do. Not fighting battles, not seeking glory, just protecting people who could not protect themselves, building bridges between species, teaching the galaxy that strength and compassion could exist together. The shy girl everyone overlooked had found her place in the universe. Not by becoming loud or aggressive, not by demanding attention, but by simply being herself, by acting with courage when courage was needed. By showing kindness when kindness was rare, Maya Chen opened her datapad and began working on her next report. Tomorrow, there would be another crisis. Another challenge. Another opportunity to make a difference. And this time, when she spoke, the galaxy would listen. Not because she was famous. Not because she had defeated raiders. But because she had proven something important. That the quietest voice in the room can sometimes say the most important things. That the person everyone overlooks might be exactly the person everyone needs. Maya smiled to herself. She was still that quiet girl at heart. Still uncomfortable with attention. Still preferring to work behind the scenes. But now she knew something she had not known before. Being quiet did not mean being weak. Being humble did not mean being helpless. Being kind did not mean being unable to fight. She was all of those things. And that was enough. The galaxy had finally learned to see her. But more importantly, Maya had learned to see herself. And that made all the difference.